Hello, students. In this video, we're going to walk through common errors you might encounter while working with functions in Python. We will cover multiple assignments, including ones that deal with conversion between cups and ounces, calculating areas, and even handling tax calculations. Functions are an essential part of Python programming, but even experienced programmers sometimes face common mistakes. In this video, we'll identify common errors such as missing return values, incorrect parameters, and handling data types incorrectly. These are just a few examples of mistakes that can lead to unexpected results or errors in your code. Our goal today is to help you identify and solve these issues in your code so that you can complete your function assignments with ease. Along the way, I'll be showing you unique examples of errors that are different from the assignments to prevent you from copying mistakes directly from the video. So, let's get started. One of the most common issues students face is forgetting to return a value from the function. Instead of returning a value, Python functions return none by default. To fix this, we simply need to add a return statement to return the value of ounces. In this example, the function is using print to display the result, which is incorrect. In this example, the function is missing parameters, which causes an error because the variables principal, rate, and periods are not defined inside the function. When calling the function, Python doesn't know what values to use for these variables, leading to a name error. To fix this, we define the function with the correct parameters, so that values can be passed when calling the function. A common mistake students make is using the wrong formula or missing parts of the logic. In this case, we're calculating interest, but we forgot to multiply by the interest rate. To fix this, we need to multiply by the rate in addition to the principal and periods. To fix this, we need to ensure that all the arguments passed to the function are of the correct data type, such as converting the input to a numeric type. A common mistake is forgetting to convert user input to the correct data type. The input function always returns a string, so when you try to perform mathematical operations, Python will convert it to the appropriate numeric type. Another common mistake is forgetting to call the function in your main function or script. If you define a function but don't call it, nothing will happen, and you won't see the expected results. In this case, the function div with rem is designed to return both the quotient and the remainder. However, when we call the function, we're not unpacking the returned values, which results in receiving a tuple instead of separate values. To fix this, we need to unpack the returned values correctly when calling the function, so that we get both the quotient and remainder as separate values. A common mistake is calling a function with an incorrect number of arguments. In this case, the function event seatSales requires 3 arguments, but we're only passing 2, which leads to a type error. To fix this, we need to pass the correct number of arguments when calling the function, ensuring that all required parameters are provided. Sometimes, a function is written to accept integers only, but it might fail when you pass floating point numbers. Even though this function will work with integer input, it's important to ensure the function can handle floating point numbers as well. To make sure the function works with floating point numbers, we should explicitly convert the input to a float, even though it's not always necessary for numeric input. We'll also ensure that the result is rounded to the correct number of decimal places. Modifying global variables inside a function can cause unexpected issues. In this case, we're trying to update the global variable total_price inside the function, but Python doesn't allow direct modification without declaring it as global, leading to an unbound local error. To fix this, we need to declare the variable total_price as global inside the function. This allows us to modify the global variable rather than creating a local one. Sometimes, students define a function after calling it. Since Python executes the code top-down, this leads to a name error because the function is not yet defined when called. To fix this, we need to define the function before we call it, so that Python knows what the function is when it gets called. Here, the function is intended to return a number but is returning a string instead, which can cause problems when you try to perform further calculations or print the result. Here, the function is intended to return a number but is returning a string instead, which can cause problems when you try to perform further calculations or print the result. Students sometimes forget to round the result when the assignment specifies that the result should be rounded to a certain number of decimal places, especially for monetary calculations. Great job! We've now covered a variety of common errors that students often face when working with functions in Python. Let's quickly recap some of the key points we discussed today. By understanding these errors and knowing how to fix them, you'll be much more confident when writing functions in Python. Troubleshooting and debugging are essential skills that will make you a better programmer. Keep practicing, and don't get discouraged by errors, it's all part of the learning process. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more tutorials. Drop any questions you have in the comments below, and I'll be happy to help.